I have no neck.
Why do we start all of our streams?
I don't know.
Every stream that we do, we start. Hi guys, let us know if you're here, if you're in the comments,
and if you can hear us okay.
Yeah, because
make sure our audio and video isn't messed up this time around.
I know, I usually restart before we stream. I didn't do that. Let us know if you can hear us this time, because I didn't restart my computer like I said that I would be doing before all of our streams. But if you can hear us, that's okay. We just want to make sure. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Hello, Sarah. Hello, Jacqueline. Perfect. Everyone can hear us. Awesome. If that changes,
please let us know.
Right. Please let us know. That way we can make sure that you can hear us. Now, as always, we are going to be starting in about 10 minutes. We hop on early to sort out any tech difficulties that may occur. Good morning. Or morning. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, I'm tired. Stephanie, Laura. It's great, not glitchy like last time.
Yeah, awesome. Sorry about that.
Or darn net neutrality talk.
Don't start that already.
We're not going to be talking about net neutrality. You guys already know how we feel about it, and we are not happy. But
if you have any particular questions that haven't been answered yet, we'll be happy to answer those. But after yesterday, we're pretty angry, so we don't really want to touch on it too much.
Right. I mean, we've pretty much already covered everything that there is to cover, and we've talked about it in the Facebook community. Yeah. So if you do have questions that haven't already been answered in our last Q&A or in the Facebook community, you can tag myself or him in the Facebook community. But other than that, we are going to...
It's early in the day to start drinking.
That's hilarious.
For you.
That's hilarious.
I got good whiskey I haven't touched in months.
We
don't really drink that much anymore.
We got all this good whiskey. What, like for Christmas last year, was it?
Yeah.
And we haven't even drank it. Yeah. That's hilarious.
I used to go out to a bar with some of my friends from back in the day when we first got back here, but
it's like every weekend.
Yeah, it was like every weekend, but alcoholism runs in my family, so I try to not drink too much.
Right. Well, even then, you still didn't. That was
no, I never really did. I went crazy like the first month after I was 21, and then was done.
Oh, look what Deborah said.
The government of Washington is going to make it a state issue. See, the thing is,
there you go.
No, I'm just something I don't think we mentioned, or we may have mentioned it, but the repeal basically makes it where state intervention isn't a thing.
Yeah.
So stateside intervention in this, preventing ISPs from doing what they want to do, isn't a thing. So they can try what they want. The big thing is the lawsuits. Many states, many high-end public officials are already getting their lawyers together to sue the FCC. So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah,
I mean, worst case scenario, things suck for a couple of months, and then we hopefully get another new president and he elects a different FCC and they put net neutrality back into effect, because they can do that.
Right. And here's the thing. I mean, this isn't going to kick in immediately. It's not like you're just going to wake up one day and then bam, everything's going to be different. They're going to do these changes over the course of probably a few years, if you know. So it's not like it's going to be a next day thing.
I've had a bottle of wild turkey in the freezer for over 5 years now, and an unopened bottle of Crown over 10 years old.
We have a bottle of Jack.
I have a bottle of Centennial Jack from the, I think, 60s.
That was 50s.
Either 50s or 60s. It was from the early years of Jack Daniels when they started making their collector's editions. It was my godfather's, and he passed away. And my parents have several more bottles, but I have one of the most valuable ones. It's still in its like cardboard box with the Centennial logo on it. It's really cool.
We will not be opening that.
All right, or something about Google wanting to be an ISP. Yeah, well, the thing is, they already are technically in some places. They run Google Fiber. Last I saw was like a year ago, and they were in like 6 different cities, and up to a gigabit per second speeds, and it was only going to cost like $16 a month, but you had to like promise to do certain things. I can't remember what it was, but eventually they will. But you got to keep in consideration, and I did this for an essay, Charter profited about $40 billion last year, and Google doesn't make that much money compared to ISPs. So it'll be another 10 or 20 years before Google Fiber is available for everybody, if they are, because they have to have the permission of the ISPs to run their wires over theirs. So we will see. They run Google Fiber in Kansas City. I know, and I wish I had it here. That gigabit internet would be awesome.
All right, so let's get away from net neutrality now before he gets
that was all positive.
Ranty. Of course.
I don't want to be negative today. Yesterday sucked.
Yeah, we were we were in a pretty bad state.
Yeah.
Yes. And then our couples camp video that we spent, what,
Oh
2
my
hours
God,
recording?
yes.
The whole video corrupted. So this was not supposed to be a live
It wasn't even
session.
really necessarily the whole video. We took 5 separate clips, and the 2 clips over 10 minutes long, the audio got all kerfunkled in the mix, and there was nothing I could do to fix it. So,
and he's like tech wizard, downloaded
Yeah.
like these programs trying to fix it.
Well,
and
there's different programs you can do to fix the refresh rate and all that kind of stuff. But the thing is normally when you edit a video, if you play it in like Windows Media Player, you just play the video, the audio syncs up just fine. But then once you put it into Premiere Pro, that's when the audio gets all messed up. But this audio was messed up in Windows Media Player, so it was our camera that did it. I think it's just because it's an older camera and we have kind of an old crappy SD card in it. And only the clips over 10 minutes long have been doing that. Everything under 10 minutes doesn't do that. So I think it's a compression issue. But
yeah, we're going to be getting a new camera. We're just using
waiting for the Singularity.
Our Google Pixels. So for everybody who's just joining in, this is kind of our intro. We usually give it 10 minutes to give people an opportunity to hop online while we game up for our Q&A, but this Q&A is going to be a little bit different because we're going to structure it more as him and I talking a whole lot, and then we're going to answer the questions at the end.
Yeah.
Because we're basically doing the exact same video that we recorded for Couples Camp, but we're doing it live. Now, obviously, we've had more time to think about the subjects that we did when we recorded our initial Couples Camp video, so we'll probably change these.
Yeah, and we'll try to speed through it a little bit. We only have about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes because we've got to get our kiddo off the bus. So we're going to try to speed through that. Not really speed through it, but we're going to try to touch on what we can without ranting too much and then answer what questions we can when we're done.
Right. So questions are going to be at the end. So those of you who are hanging out in the comments right now, if you see somebody who kind of joins us later on and maybe they pop in and they're asking a question over and over again and wanting to know why we're not answering it, just let them know that we're covering all the questions at the end. Otherwise, we'll never get done. And if you have your partner here with you today, give them a shout out in the comments. Let me know if you're by yourself today, if you plan on having your partner watch this later on, or if you were able to get your partner to come hang out with you today. I want to know. I want to know who's watching because, I mean, ultimately, this video was meant to be structured for you and your partner to watch together. And I know that a lot of people kind of have a hard time getting their partner on board with sitting down and watching a video like this, especially when I guess we're kind of seen as crafters, and no, I don't want to sit and watch a video with some crafters. And I know that
I can see that from my point of view. Like, I wouldn't want to sit and watch some chick and some dude in a cartoon shirt and a backwards hat tell me how to support my wife. Like,
right.
I can see that, but it is important. And the end goal really is not even necessarily to get them on board with you, but just to make them a little more understanding of what you do.
Right, and the perspectives. And here's the thing, us women are not 100% off the hook because I'm going to be talking about all of the things that as a wife, I did totally wrong.
He does custom guitars. Hit me up, I'll review one.
Oh yeah, that's I was gonna say he right here, he is the definition of the stereotypical manly man, which let's go ahead and jump, since we've got like 2 minutes, we'll go ahead and do our initial disclaimer. We are obviously a man and a woman, and we can only give you guys our viewpoints as a married man and a woman. So if you are not in a relationship as a man and a woman, obviously things might be different, and I just don't want this to be something where somebody gets angry that I didn't cover like same-sex couples, because I can't exactly weigh in on relationships that aren't the relationship that I'm in, the same as I can't weigh in on relationships where the man is the one who runs the business and the woman is, the partner to that. So we're just going to be touching on what we know, and hopefully what we say today can be applied no matter what the relationship is, whether you're married or not, and whether it's the guy doing the crafting. It shouldn't really matter all that much. Just try to make this apply to you, because obviously we can only give advice based on what we've personally experienced.
Yeah. And we're not the most PC of people either, so sorry if we spurt out anything that is offensive to someone. We don't have any ill will against anybody.
It's not, it's more of us defining the common misconceptions and the things that other alphas have come to us about. And a lot of the times it is the wife who stays at home, or she has,
really is.
you know,
and I don't think we're going to have that much of an issue anyway. Most of the people that are sensitive to this kind of stuff are millennials, and we don't have a whole lot of millennials.
Right.
So.
And we're not saying that that is how we believe. We're just trying to cater. We want to cater to those people who are in the relationship where the woman is really trying to do something, you know, make something great. And, you know, a lot of the times there's that husband that just doesn't quite understand, or maybe he isn't showing support in the best way, which at one time we were very much in a similar relationship.
It hasn't even really been all that long since I've been really on board with what she does. I mean, I've never been against it by any means, but we'll touch more on that.
Yeah, definitely. So let's see, do we have a couple? We have a few people saying that spouses will be in later. That's awesome. Perfect. So let's go ahead and talk about us. Yay! If you're here today with your spouse, that is awesome. If you're watching the replay with your spouse, even better. But let's start off by saying that if you are, you know, the guy in the relationship and your partner has set you down to watch this video, you are not in trouble. Like, this is not something where we're going to tell you all the things that you're doing wrong. That is not what this is about, because it is an equal partnership where both people have to be on board and contribute in their own ways. So let's go ahead and kind of talk about our start and who we are. My name is Starla, obviously, and I run Art by Starla Moore, which is a jewelry business. And my husband here wasn't really a part of that until later on, which we'll touch on. But eventually my jewelry business got so big that I was able to eventually move on to coaching other handmade businesses. So that's kind of like where we, I guess, got our start. And now we're to the point where he was able to, a couple months ago,
quit my job.
Quit his job.
I work with her full time now.
Yes. So let's talk about, for those of you who did not get my very hilarious manly man email today, what are some awesome facts about you, Mr. Moore, and why are you not just a crafter?
Pretty much your stereotypical dude without all the womanizing. I used to be a bodybuilder. I've been in multiple bands. I still play guitar and sing. I drive a sports car. I like working on my sports car. I like talking about cars. I don't like sports.
That's the only thing.
That's the only thing not do. I mean, I was in MMA for 6 years, and I'm getting ready to join back up in January.
And won multiple awards.
Multiple awards, yeah. I used to be a cigar aficionado. I love craft beer. I'm not a hipster, but I love craft beer. No top hats for me. I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, if you want to ex-military, yeah. I mean, that's whatever. But
gun enthusiast.
Gun enthusiast. Yeah. Did you want to show the picture that you had made on here?
Sure. Go ahead and click share screen. Well, it's going to be hard to show it. I think I emailed everybody.
Yeah, I think so.
Really
bodybuilder. What was your max bench? So I was actually physique. I was on a team with Jeremy Buendia. I was on Team Fit Body in California. If you don't know who Jeremy was, Jeremy Buendia, he was or is Mr. Olympia Physique, has been for the past 4 years in a row. It was a pretty cool experience being able to be with him. I honestly couldn't tell you what my max bench was. My max leg press was 860 pounds, and my max deadlift was just short of 500 before I blew my back out. So, and degenerative discs. It wasn't bad form. I have degenerative discs in my back. So
yeah, and
but I would have gotten up to 500 in probably a month.
And we're going to be kind of getting, I did the same thing, and I was also aiming for women's physique, which if you know anything about women's physique, they're beastly, and that was my goal. But we were getting really close to competing. Life just got in the way when he had his injury, and he ended up not having to re-enlist in the military. But we are going to be getting back into it. I know a lot of people want us to kind of do a channel that talks about our fitness journey. So we're thinking about doing that later on.
Wow, so lucky to work with those guys. You know, funny thing is it just kind of happened through my military connections. I had a buddy of mine who I won't say too much about him, but he was huge. I mean, well, he was like 5'3", but he was a big dude.
He still is a big dude.
He would talk about all the stuff that he did with these guys. And I had only been in lifting for like a year, and I was starting to get serious about it and thought about bodybuilding. And I hit him up and I was like, dude, who's your coach? And he's like, oh no, here, his name's Jeremy. Like, he didn't even say anything like that positive. He's like, his name's Jeremy. You can hit him up here. And then doing my research, I was like, gee, holy crap, this guy's Mr. Olympia. So that was pretty cool.
We got to meet Rich Piana. We got to meet Jay Cutler. We got to meet a lot of really great people. I got to meet a lot of really cool people. I got to meet Hani Rambod. That was pretty, I didn't really get to talk with him, but I got to meet Hani. We got to meet the guys of Mutant.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I got to go to a couple of expos. It was pretty fun.
All right. So, okay. So away from all of that, we've got Mr. Manly Man here. And I, on the other hand, am the exact opposite, despite the fact that I also was very much into bodybuilding. In fact, I was pretty beastly, but obviously we've had life kind of get ahead of us, but we're getting back into it. Aside from that, though, I'm more whimsical and artsy, and I love little animals and crafting and fun and fuzzy. And, you know, we're pretty much the polar opposite, I guess you could say. But we've been married for 7 years, and we're going on 8 years together.
Long time. You
want to tell them how we met? Are you trying to find your beefy picture?
No, I just wanted to find my Instagram so I could figure out what my name was.
Oh, okay. Did you want to throw out your Instagram plug?
Yeah, so my Instagram, the most recent pictures of me being super fat, because I've been fat this past year, but big, so B-I-G.
Just type it in.
Yeah.
He'll type it into the comments. That way you can follow us, because we're going to be getting back into it pretty soon. But like I said, as for me, I'm just kind of the polar opposite. I'm super whimsical and fun, and I've always wanted to craft. I haven't had a job since I was 19 years old, and which doesn't say a lot because I am 25, he is 26. But that's pretty much it. And did we say how we met?
I met on MySpace, actually. She had a boyfriend who needed medication, and I was in a band, and we needed a keyboard, and she happened to have one. So I bought it off of her for like $100 or something like that. And then things kind of went from there. Long, convoluted story. But
yeah. Don't worry, the boyfriend cheated on me and left me, so I didn't like.
Yeah, there was nothing weird there.
I promise. He just happened to be like already floating around. So, but
floating around.
Already.
Yeah. How's that sound, guys? Already floating around, just ready for it.
You didn't hear nothing. No, we hit it off. We hit it off really well. We were into the same kind of music. We were just kind of in the MySpace. My husband and I met on DeviantArt. I love DeviantArt.
It's like those people that meet on like World of Warcraft and get married before they even see each other in person, but they're dating online for like 2 or 3 years beforehand. I think it's cute, but it's still kind of weird.
All right, so let's get into the actual topic at hand. First of all, let's talk about why I started this business. So most of you know my background story, but if not, just very brief. He joined the military. I was only 19 years old. We ended up moving from our home in Ohio, 3,000 miles away to California, where we had no friends and family. And I had my daughter at age 19, which really restricted my ability to find a job, because when you are a military spouse, job retainability is kind of a big thing. And a lot of places, unless it's like a fast food joint, simply won't hire you unless you have a distinct skill set or you have that job retainability, which at the time we did not, because we never knew if we were going to move. And not to mention that I had no one to watch our newborn daughter. So I wanted to do something that would help me contribute to the household and kind of, keep me busy while he was gone for upwards of 16 hours a day between going to the gym, working his normal job, and PT. And things were extremely hard for me at first because I had no idea what I was doing. I was lonely. But that's basically why I started the business. I just wanted to contribute, even if it was just enough to buy my daughter some toys and some books. I wanted to help somehow. And I know that for many of us, that is why we start that handmade business. So starting out, it really does feel more like a hobby that you just happen to be making a little bit of money on. And my first impression of the business was just that. It was simply that I wanted something that was going to kind of help contribute to the household, but I never really took it that seriously, though I did hope I would. I just didn't take the time to learn about it. So if you're sitting with your spouse right now, like for the guys that are actually watching today, give them a big hug, because they're doing something that I never did, which was seek research and, seek resources and education on the topic of starting that business rather than just jumping right in. Because I lingered around for about 2 years before I started doing that research, and we did not make any money. I was just crafting, making a couple dollars here and there. So, sweetheart, what was your first impression of the business when I came to you with this idea that I was going to have a big jewelry? I want to start a jewelry store, baby.
Honestly, my first impression, I mean, it wasn't negative, but it was one of those things where I thought it was going to turn out just like any other eBay business where stuff just kind of piles up in a room you don't use. And I mean, up until a couple of years ago, and do we have a realization thing in here, or is that part of what we're
that was started? That's what.
Okay, so the big thing for me that made me realize how big Etsy could be. For one, there are some businesses on there that make $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a month. That blows. We don't make that much money, but any store has the potential to do that. It just depends on how much effort you're willing to put into it. But for us, it would have to be the first Black Friday that we did. It wasn't even our first. I think it was our second Black Friday. We had only made like maybe 10 grand throughout the year. And that sounds like a lot, but I mean, we're already in November and $10,000. That's just not enough to live on, especially in California. But then over the course of from Black Friday through Christmas, she made it like $12,000 to $15,000, and which brought us up closer to around 30. And that just blew my mind. And that really made me realize the potential that having not just an Etsy business, but a handmade business with enough time and effort, which even then we didn't put that much effort into that Black Friday other than actually making and packing all of the orders. But yeah, that's probably the turning point for me was seeing how much money started rolling in and the potential for that to be like a monthly thing over time, which we don't make, $15,000, $20,000 every month, but every once in a while we'll make a good 3 or 4, which is great.
Sometimes 5, 6 to 7, depending on the time of year.
Summer and early year kind of suck, but
nobody's really shopping, but holiday time usually compensates for the entire year.
Yeah, for sure.
And
it's all about your budget.
I personally knew things were getting serious the moment that he came to me and told me, if you can do this, if you can maintain what you're making right now, I will not need to re-enlist in the military and we can go home. And those words were the motivation that literally drove me to do what I do now. He gave me that motivation through giving me that confidence and telling me that if I make this money, we could go back to Ohio. He wouldn't have to re-enlist in the military, which couldn't have come at a more perfect time, because around that time, that's when his back injuries, just popped up out of the blue.
Around my 3rd or 4th year in the military.
Right. And it was just a major turning point that drove me. So that initial support and that belief that I could do this is really what drove me to be successful. And I don't think that without that, I could have done what I did in such a short period of time.
I've had job offers after being out of the military, some of them offering me upwards. I had one last month, as a matter of fact, offering me $100,000 annual contract. It's just the first year was in Afghanistan.
And he gets offers like that.
And I get offers like that at least once a month. I think the lowest offer I got was $65,000 a year. And I turned them down, for one, because her business is making enough money where I don't care. Obviously that would still be better money, but this still has the potential to grow. But I mean, I've been offered jobs out in DC and in I think Virginia, Florida, and Georgia, and all of them over $75,000, $80,000 a year. So
right. So let's kind of talk about, as a woman, what support means to me. And like I said, this can apply to whatever relationship that you're in, or if, for example, you're the guy who runs the business. But to me personally, as a wife, speaking from my own experiences, support to me doesn't really mean that I need him in my office all the time. Well, starting out before, when he actually had a different job, but I didn't want him in my office all the time helping me. That's not what I really wanted. What I wanted was just someone to listen to me at the end of the day and ultimately to take me seriously, because I feel like there's just such a stigma attached to saying, I run an Etsy shop, I run a jewelry business. It just sounds like this cutesy little thing that women might do in their free time. And, you know, you think of a professional crafter, you think of like a granny knitting, you know, by the fireplace, making sweaters. And what I really wanted was to be taken seriously. I wanted somebody who was going, I just wanted to be acknowledged for my effort. And at the end of a long day, when I'm super duper stressed, I wanted him to come home from work and tell me about his bad experience at work, his bad day, but in turn, be able to say, you know, I also had a bad day, sweetheart, and have my bad day selling on Etsy at least mildly compare to his bad day in the military, which that sounds crazy and selfish, but I just wanted that validation where I didn't feel like less of a person. And I didn't want to feel like I was contributing less to the household, which took a few years, honestly. So then versus now, how in the beginning did you, or do you feel that you supported me or helped to support my handmade business when I first started? We'll say just like first month or so in the beginning.
Not much. I'll go a bit further out than a month because I really didn't even barely acknowledge the business in the first month. But yeah, mostly emotional, if that, because I still had the mindset that, you know, it hasn't blown up yet. It's still not that much work, which in the beginning, it is quite a bit of work compared to now. It's not even comparable, but
it gets easier.
I didn't really contribute that much. I mean, I gave her $100 to start the business, and that was pretty much it.
I had to convince him to do that. Like he was just like, oh, $100.
But then versus now, I mean, I do pretty much everything that she doesn't have the time to do. I answer some of your guys' emails. I help her pack packages is probably the biggest thing, especially around the holidays, like with Black Friday having well over 100 orders. Like, she can't do that by herself. And last year she did. I still wasn't supporting her that much, like in terms of actually contributing to the business. It was still mostly emotional. But even around the holidays last year, I still bucked it up and went and helped her pack.
And you know, the thing is, it's not that he like makes the keys or anything like that, and I don't expect him to.
I got big sausage fingers. I can't make keys. My hands are too big.
I almost hired him off to take on the skill sets that I knew that he was already good at. For example, customer service. He's already good at that. He can already talk to people. So, and he already knows how I talk.
Anything tech related.
Right. And, you know, he helps me with my video production. He helps me with customer service. Packing orders, that doesn't take a lot of effort. Anytime there's a tech-related issue, a computer breaks down, he's there. So I've assigned him skill sets that I know that he's already good at doing. And
assigned me skill sets.
Well, you know what I mean.
I'm trying to make her look like a bad person, but she's not.
Oh, you.
You know what I did yesterday? I played Fallout 4 for like 7 straight hours.
That's true.
So that's okay.
So, all right.
I love my job.
What are 3 things that you would like to tell the guys that are in the room right now, maybe common misconceptions, or just 3 things that you feel like they should know, you know, pep talk for the guys. Pep
talk for the guys. So the first thing for me, and these kind of caveat through each other, the first thing for me is to not make assumptions. Where did it go? Or excuse me, not to treat it as a hobby. Assumptions is second. So don't treat it like it's a hobby for the spouse. That's one mistake that I had in the beginning. I didn't think that it had the possibility. I didn't think it had the possibility to make any money. And that's one of the worst things for me is I even for the first couple of years, I still considered it more of a hobby that just kind of made money because she does enjoy it. She still enjoys it. But at the same time, once it gets to a point where you're making money, and I don't mean a lot, just a little bit of money, it becomes work. And sometimes even if you have a 12 to 16 hour day at work, there's a chance that she or your spouse or your partner, whoever, had an equally terrible day. I mean, even being a craft business, as people like to call it, it still has its moments where you just want to pick up and throw a chair across the room. It's a job.
He's experiencing that now for the very first time, actually sitting down and having to answer some of these customer messages.
Oh my God. Some of these things there are even times where I'm like, I'm not replying to this. I'll come back to this tomorrow. This was a stupid question. So, I mean, they can have a bad, and sometimes they do need to walk away from it. And that's one thing you should encourage, is for them to walk away from their business for a couple hours every day, because they can be freaking insane by the end of the day. And I've experienced it now. And I know that I don't like people in general. And some people are, whew, anyway.
But, you know, even being in the military and dealing with that every day, he's able to do my job and say.
And no offense to any particular branch of the military. Trust me, there are some stupid people throughout the branches of the military. And being intel, I dealt with every branch. I dealt with foreign branches. People are stupid sometimes.
All people are stupid. It doesn't matter what you do. There are just some people that drive you crazy.
And this is, in doing this, I'm not dealing with people in the military. I'm dealing with people that probably wouldn't qualify for the military because they're so dumb sometimes. Not that everybody's dumb. It's like one a week I get a really dumb message that I'm like, I'm not touching this.
We all have that customer. It's not necessarily that they're dumb, but sometimes they can't articulate what they mean, or they just don't read.
Most of the dumb ones are people wanting to do wholesale. Those are the really dumb emails, because for one, they're badly translated. They use terrible grammar, and it's just,
they're rude.
Oh my God, they're
very
rude about it.
Yeah,
like, no, thank you, I'm not interested. Or how dare you? I'm black. I'm like, shut up. I don't care. But number two, don't make assumptions about the business. This was a big one for me. And she's going to touch a little bit more on how or why this happens, but we like to make assumptions based on the information that we know, right? Being guys, if we've heard something or we think we know something, it's not always going to be the truth. And we'll use, I think I did this for the video too, holiday shipping, for instance. Like, you might know about what time you think it's appropriate to stop shipping for the holidays, or to tell people when packages aren't going to arrive. And the thing is while you might know that information, chances are you're probably not right. And that goes to most decisions when it comes to an Etsy business. You have to make sure that you're not just making assumptions to the information that you're providing to your spouse.
Because she's probably done the research.
She's probably done the research. And if you're really adamant about something, I'm not saying not to offer your opinions, because your opinions are invaluable. And we'll touch more on that here in a minute too. But take the time to do the research yourself. And if you're really adamant and you think that what you're saying is true and you're arguing about it, don't argue about it. Get together and discuss the facts and determine if it's appropriate or if it's true. And if it is true, then that's okay. You can implement it. And if you make a mistake, you made a mistake. Crap happens. I mean, running a business, nobody's perfect. You're going to make mistakes. But the biggest thing is don't make assumptions. You're not always going to be right. And for me, I'm always right.
Oh, yeah.
But when it comes to this business, I have to back off and shut my mouth sometimes, because I'm not always right. When it comes to my domain, computers, technology, I'm right, and I'll argue with people on Facebook all day about it. But sometimes you just got to be able to back off and let her do her thing. And if she has a question and she has no idea, or your partner has no idea what they're doing, there's nothing wrong with you giving your input. But do your research first. Please do your research first, because you can. There are no like set in stone rules when it comes to running an Etsy business, other than like the Etsy guidelines. But there kind of are. So etiquette. So just do your research. Like, we get a lot of questions about email lists and people just automatically adding email addresses that people have provided them on Etsy to their email list without permission. Like, that's never okay. But you would probably assume that that's okay because you're not really hurting them. It's actually against the law. So,
but he didn't know that at first.
But I didn't know that at first. But it took 5 minutes of Googling stuff to realize that no, you can't do that. So.
And another thing that I see a lot is when you do have that assumption as a guy, what I see a lot of guys do is say, they just fight it. They're like, you're wrong, wrong. And
you gotta be able to back off of that. And I know as a guy, that's really hard, because that's instinctual for us.
Men want to stick to their guns and be that dominant figure. And a lot of times what you have to do is really break down and show your heart. And kind of as cheesy as that sounds, the best way to approach a woman about anything is to simply go in and say, honey, I want to work together towards a solution. And we do that with everything. Anytime we get in a fight, I usually, or a fight, we have a disagreement, I will say, I want to sit down and work towards a solution, whether that be with our daughter, whether that be with the household, or I simply use the words, I'm having a really hard time. Could we sit and talk?
Right. And as the business owner too, and this is coming from a guy's perspective, you can't be stubborn about it either. Like, even if you think you're right, if they are certain that you're wrong, take the time to research it and come up with facts. Because there's and I can tell probably from her perspective, there's nothing worse than being wrong, especially when you're told you're wrong. So just if they're really strong about something and they think they've done their research, look it up and give them the information, and don't be snarky about it, but say here is what the internet has to say.
Right, and just be kind in your approach. Say, honey, I'm really concerned for the business, and I want to make sure that you have all of the facts. I found this information. Can we maybe sit down and look at it together?
Right.
And a lot of this is going to be changing your mentality, because he certainly is not the same person that I married a few years ago. But I think that comes with maturity and growth. No matter how old you are, maturity in a relationship, I feel like, is something that is adapted in the time that you put in,
for sure,
and your own personal development. So,
and the thing is while the small mistakes may not seem that major, like with the holiday shipping, for instance, if you were to get like 50 orders that you had to ship out on the holidays, and you get them all shipped out a day too late and none of them arrive for Christmas, that could be the end of your shop. You could end up with like 10 or 15 bad reviews just because you chose to not do the research to determine when you need to stop shipping. So just do your research, basically. Don't make assumptions, and do your research on everything. Don't say, I think it's like this. Don't do that. Be certain.
And one final thing to add on to point number 2 about don't make assumptions is, if there is one of those debates where you look it up online and as the guy, you find out that, yes, you are wrong. One of the biggest things that guys struggle with, and I know this, I'm reading a book called The Evolution of Desire, and it is actually a relationship psychology book. One of the biggest problems that guys have relationship psychology book. One of the biggest problems that guys have is actually admitting that they're wrong in a kind way. And I'm never wrong. That is his biggest problem, but he's able to acknowledge it now more so than he was at one time. And what's really important is being able to apologize when you have made that mistake, and not just being like, well, sorry, or say, well, sorry, but. Because when you say but, everything that you said before that but doesn't matter anymore.
All about that but.
That but.
All right. Caught her off guard with that one.
Point number 3. Women can be the same way too. That's very true, and trust me, we're gonna get into women next. I will cover women.
Let's just gotta get her with. Can we do it on camera? Do you want to?
Can you get to point number 3?
I'm not gonna harp on point number 3 too much, but support needs to be more than emotional. Obviously, you don't need to be spending. If you have a job too, you don't have to spend like 6 hours in their workspace trying to help them out, but do what you can every once in a while. If they're like, with me, I can't do everything that she does. I have big sausage fingers and she works with tiny little keys. I don't have the fine motor skills to be able to do what she does with a lot of things, but I can take over a lot of the crap that she doesn't want to do, like answering customer messages or printing and cutting shipping labels, that kind of thing. So try to contribute as much as you can. Like I said, you might have had a 12-hour day at work, but she could have had an equally as bad day. I mean, I was in the military, and I had some days that were 14, 15 hours long, and I came home, and obviously there's no way I'm doing anything after that long, but at the very least, show your support. And if you have a free day on the weekend, instead of going out to the bar with your bros, like spend an hour or 2 before you go, help and do something to contribute physically to the business. You don't have to, but the more that you do, the more they're going to realize that you want the business to succeed, and it could very well succeed. And I'm not joking when I say that some of these Etsy businesses make $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month. Like, some of these people are legit like billionaires on Etsy, and it's rare. Well, billionaires before supply costs. I'm sure it costs them a lot of money, but the point is it has the possibility to get that big, and they're not going to get that big by themselves, and they're not going to get to the point where they're making 6 figures by themselves. There's no way. None of you will make 6 figures without some kind of support. What?
And then
support can also be things like cooking dinner while she designs a new piece. Absolutely.
And he does that.
I mean, I'm the cook of the family anyway, but It's cleaning the kitchen, making the bed,
keeping the daughter out of the studio.
Yeah, vacuuming, keeping the kid entertained, helping the kid with homework. I mean, whatever you have to do, even if you've had a crappy day, if they're working by the time you still, like, you come home, they're still working. Clearly, they're having a crappy day unless they just decided to sleep in while you were at work. But that's a different story. But contribute more than just emotional. Don't say, well, I'm glad, or I'm sorry you had a bad day. I hope you have a better day. Here's a hug. Like, that's not enough.
Right. And it doesn't have to be anything huge, you know?
And as the business grows, it's going to require more support. And I hope, like, and I'm not joking, I hope that all of you, your spouses, get to quit their jobs and do what we're doing. Obviously, that's not going to happen for everybody because not every business is going to get that big. But they have the possibility to. And the more support that they have, the higher the chance that that's going to happen. Like,
exactly.
if they can spend way less time doing one particular thing because you're contributing at that time, that's more time that they have to put into whatever else they weren't able to get done yet, or a day on their weekend that they were going to have to take to do something they couldn't do throughout the week because they were designing their next launch, or they were taking and editing pictures, videos, or whatever else they were doing. Take the time to take whatever monotonous crap out of it that you can do. Take it away from them. Do it for them. And it doesn't take maybe a week to learn what they do. I mean, I sat up here and within the first week, I knew how to use her swipe files and how to do everything. I mean, they'll explain it faster than whoever they learned it from because they have their understanding of it and you understand them better. So it'll only take you maybe a week, maybe a month if it's super advanced, but probably about a week for you to get in tune with what they need you to do.
Right.
And they're not going to want you to take over all of it because it'll feel like less of their business. They're just going to want you to do things like answer crappy emails on Etsy every once in a while, but it's worth it for them.
And, you know, that's not even for all, you know, couples, because not every couple is going to require the guy to even be a part of the business. It's just the support that really matters in there. So I'm going to go ahead and cover the 3 things that I think that the women in the room need to hear when it comes to starting a business. And along with that, I'm going to talk about the things that I personally did wrong and that I absolutely admit that I did wrong. But our first point that I want to touch on is when you come to your partner or, you know, the guy in your life about your problems. You know, I had a terrible day because my emails on MailChimp didn't send out. I had a terrible day because one of my coupons was messed up on Etsy and a bunch of customers were mad. Men are problem solvers. And when you announce a problem to a man, the first thing that he's going to do is try to offer a solution. But for women, what we want most of the time isn't a solution to the problem because we've probably already found the solution. We don't want him to tell us the solution. We don't want him to say, well, I would have done this. Well, I would have done that. All we really want is for that guy to basically say, you know, acknowledge the fact that we had that problem and to sympathize with us and just listen. And that's so stereotypical. So many women say, I wish you would just listen more, but it's true. So when you go to your partner about your problems, rather than just saying, my MailChimp emails didn't send out today and I'm having such a terrible day, what would work so much more efficiently is if we just spoke what we really wanted. And rather than trying to make him assume, go to him and say, you know, I don't need a solution to this. I got it figured out. I really just need someone to listen to me right now. Would you mind sitting down with me and kind of hearing me out? Let me vent for a minute because it's going to make me feel a whole lot better. And then go over your day and just get him to sympathize with you. You know, it doesn't take that much to voice exactly what it is that you need because, I mean, he'll be the first to tell you. I was totally one of those girls who I would go all day not talking to him, just mad, so mad at you, but I wouldn't tell him why.
I hate that.
I would not.
She still does that from time to time, by the way.
I usually over stupid things like, I wish you would have cleaned the house. Like, it's always something silly, but most of the time, and I'm getting better at it, it's obviously something that we all have to work on because as women, we want men to just instinctually know when we're upset about something, but
we know that it doesn't work like that.
It's just not how it works.
No. And it's one of those things too that kind of goes on time management. Like, how much time do you spend on the toilet after pooping, playing on your Facebook and reading through posts? Like, it might just take 5 minutes of that Facebook time away from you to be able to sit down and say, you know, how are you doing today? Right. Like, it doesn't take that much time.
So point number 2 after, well, first, men are problem solvers. Don't forget that. Structure all of your problems,
right.
you know, in the right way. And number 2 is don't expect your guy to be super duper into it at first. You know, I would never dream of sitting down with him and saying, sweetie, would you like to review these color swatches? Let's review color swatches together.
I wouldn't.
Like, I know that is unrealistic. That is an unrealistic expectation. What I have done is I have given him things that I know that he will be good at and interested in doing, such as my tech, such as building us new computers, such as creating a studio for us in the basement. So when it comes to talking to your partner about what you're doing, I mean, you can obviously say, you know, hey, here's my new collection. What do you think? But don't have this expectation in mind that he's going to go, oh, it's so great. Oh, like that's not how guys are. That it's just not. And in the beginning, it's especially not how they are. So, I mean, unless they're actually creating the product and maybe you guys make coffee tables and he's a, you know, a carpenter and he already knows all, you know, that's a very, very small percentage of Etsy shop owners have the husband who's also making the products as well. But in most cases, you know, if you need to assign him to something that you know is going to work well with his skill set or that he's going to enjoy doing a little bit more. But when it comes to the actual product creation and things like that, in most cases, that's typically going to be your thing. And if he is super excited about it, that's just a bonus. Because I do have some products that he's excited to give input on. But at the same time, he doesn't really care when I make Mother's Day keys. You know, it just depends on the relationship. But in most cases, just don't hold your expectations unrealistically high when it comes to how into it he's going to be. Because it's going to take time. What's really going to get him excited is when the money starts coming in. Because guys want to, you know, do the finances and, crunch the numbers. And, wow, there's money coming out of this. You know, that's what he's going to focus on more rather than, wow, that's pretty. So.
And I mean, we've talked about this in previous videos, and we did it for our actual recording too. The dragon key that we did for the Christmas release. It was a gunmetal dragon, and she asked me for my input. And being gunmetal, she wanted to put a red stone in it, which looked great, but at the same time, it was kind of feminine looking. So I said you maybe put like a sapphire or blue stone in it to make it a little more gender neutral, which also kind of goes along with the gunmetal theme. And that key sold out in the first 20 seconds when we did our pre-sale. So
yeah, and it was a $90 key. It sold out with.
Once you get to the point where you understand their target market, is assuming that the person running the business understands their target market, you can give some really great input, especially when it comes to making things for the opposite gender. Like if you're female and you're making things for men, the chances are you're probably not going to know as much about what we like other than what you read. You don't know us, just the same as I wouldn't be as good as making something for a girl. Like I know what guys like, and you know, some of us would like red on gunmetal, but the majority wanted blue, and it worked out. So, and
everyone told us, you know, this. When I said, well, I was thinking about making these in red, and everyone was like, no, we love the blue. So he provided me valuable insight for a niche that I didn't think I was going to be selling that key to, which was guys. I made this necklace thinking it was going to be for women, and
mostly guys bought it. So
it was women who bought them for, you know, their guys. And he ended up keeping one because he liked the design so much. So that's just one of those little things that you. I
made a huge sale, and he just grunted at me. Who doesn't like money?
Right. So let's go ahead and hop into point number 3. Let's see. Okay. Here. Don't forget to spend time together.
Yeah, for real.
And this is ridiculous for me to even, I guess I was the biggest sinner of this topic, because when I started my business, I was so excited about it. Like, it was so exciting. I just wanted to spend all my time crafting, and but he was seeing me in my office all day sitting in front of a computer, but what he wasn't seeing was the work behind it. Now, a lot of that was because I wasn't telling him about the work behind it. But what was the problem there was that I was sitting in my office all day, not paying attention to him at all, not even coming together at the end of the night, and we were going straight to bed. And we were beginning to lose touch as a couple. And this lasted for years to the point where we barely even talked to each other. And I mean, guys, they become jealous of anything that's taking you away from them, especially if you're lacking, maybe, you know, you're just not showing affection anymore because you're so stressed out about the business. And you don't have to show affection all the time, but it shouldn't be months and months and months that you go without giving your husband a hug or sitting on the couch and watching a movie together. So, you know, don't forget why you guys got married. And this is going to be like a duh, I guess you could say, but don't neglect the bedroom if you're married. You know, don't neglect it. He's over here like, yeah, for real, the bedroom. But really, guys, seriously.
That's the place where you guys connect the most.
It really is. And, you know, I will admit, you know, since I think we're all adults here, we did for a long time, or I did, because I was so stressed. I was so anxious all the time that by the time I went to bed, I didn't even want to look at him. Like, I was just, and, you know, sweetheart, this is kind of like everything that I did wrong. But as a husband, from your perspective, all of this, you know, before you knew anything about my business and I just started ignoring you, ignoring our sex life, how did it make you feel, like, as a guy, for me to suddenly, like...
I mean, it was crappy, and it's one of those things where it's, like, kind of similar to the being cheated on feel, if anybody understands what I'm talking about, because it wasn't just the bedroom stuff, but it was just, I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain.
Divided attention.
Right, divided attention. Like, at the end of the day, especially if you have the mindset that the business isn't that big of a deal and they're doing it as a hobby, like they're having fun with it. And then at the end of the day, you're not even thinking about the bedroom stuff. You just want to spend time with them, and they don't really want to. They kind of just want to chill on the couch, watch TV, and eat popcorn. Like, it gives you the same kind of feeling of neglect. And I don't know. I think once you start contributing more, and they see, even if it's only 30 to 40 minutes a day, something simple, I think it kind of encourages the spouse or the person running the business to want to spend more time with you. In the long run. I don't know.
And, you know, you can do that by offering fun opportunities as a guy, by saying, you know, hey, tonight I was thinking at this time, we could sit down and watch this movie. You know, be specific and say that, you know, be honest, say, I miss you and I really want to spend time with you.
Right.
And a lot of times
most guys have problems expressing their feelings, especially
admitting that they want to legitimately just spend time, you know, with their wife. I understand that guys don't want to show their heart like that sometimes, but sometimes that is genuinely what the woman needs to hear to snap her out of work mode.
And I mean, that's the same, like, you can't, if two people in a relationship both have jobs at different places, you obviously can't contribute. And it's obvious when you come home at the end of the day, when the husband's like, we should screw, and the spouse doesn't want to. It's the same thing with an Etsy business. If they've worked all day and they've said, hey, could you come help me out for 30 minutes? And you're like, no, hold on, I'm watching the game. Like, at the end of the day, don't expect some whoopee, because it's not going to happen. It has to be equal contribution, as much as you can input into it. And the more that you're willing to input into it and see that you give a crap about what they're doing, the more willing they're going to be or the more willing they are to spend time with you and to make whoopee. So, I mean, we're all adults here, and that is the most personal place you can be with your spouse. And if you're not spending any time with your spouse because they're stressed out and you're not helping them out at all, and they've been spending all week working on a release or something like that, don't be surprised when they don't want to spend time with you anywhere. Right. So just try to give your input and at least acknowledge their existence once in a while.
And for us, you know, we have designated days off. You guys will never, unless there's a release, you guys will never hear me reply to your emails. In fact, we don't even reply to tags in the Facebook groups.
Most of the time. Every once in a while, if we're bored, we'll stop in and see if there are anything important.
Right, but Fridays and Saturdays,
we don't touch it.
And those are our days.
We have to.
You know, we don't do anything. We do not do anything business related on Fridays and Saturdays. And, you know, maybe you don't have the ability to do that. Maybe you can only take one day off, or maybe you can only take an afternoon off. But computers for us go off at 6:30 p.m. Yep. We are offline unless there's like a dire emergency with a customer and I get like a notification on my phone. We turn everything off, and it can wait until morning when the work day begins for us. You know,
for sure.
you have to be able to assign that time to each other, end of the day or the weekend, whatever you can spare. And, you know, plan things, go to movies, plan a date night, plan to just sit home and maybe make a night out of finger food night where you make chicken nuggets and mozzarella sticks and, you know, just find fun things to do together. As cheesy as it may sound, hop on Pinterest, find fun ideas. We did a date night jar there for a while where we drew out sticks.
Yeah, that was fun.
I did little scrolls and we draw out a different date every night.
We had to do whatever came out.
Yeah, like, and they were done by, they were color coded by how much they would cost. That way, if we, because it was when he was in the military and we didn't have a whole lot of money. So if we didn't have any money that week, we would pull one out that didn't require much. So, you know, those are all just fun little ideas. Let's see. Okay, so let's talk about what happens when you are working together at the Handmade business. Maybe your business is, you know, big enough that your spouse is helping. Maybe you guys are to the point where you're running it together. Maybe he is one of the partners who is just more willing to contribute, because there are tons of guys who are like that, who are super willing and gung-ho to contribute, you know? And if you have one of those guys, that is fantastic. Like, kudos to you. But when you get to that point,
sorry.
Oh, shush, you helped me a ton now. So here's the thing. As a guy, I think that it can be hard to learn from your spouse, especially if you're married. Yes. Especially if, you know, you're a guy married to a woman. I think that guys have a lot of trouble sitting down and literally learning from your spouse. And did you want to touch on that at all?
I mean, it's just one of those dude things. Like, don't be Hank Hill. Just don't.
Right. And he's learned so much from me in the last
few months. And she's learned a lot from me too. That's just kind of the process. You guys, like, being married obviously shows that you care about each other. But I mean, honestly, you know about the personal stuff and you know their hobbies, but you don't know a dang thing about who they are when they're at work. And when you start working with them, you see a completely different person. And it's not, I don't know. It's a really weird concept, but you have to be willing to compromise. Hank Hill, I'll make propane and propane accessories. Or I sell. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Once you know how to learn from her, she's going to start learning from you and listening to your opinions as well. And it goes same for same-sex marriages. It's all pretty much the same. Once you guys start to learn about each other on a work level and not just a personal level, you'll be able to contribute more to the business. And contribute more to the relationship, honestly. I mean, it's helped us grow on more than just a personal level. Like, we know who we are. Like, if we weren't dating or married or anything like that, like, we know who we are now. So. Right.
And, you know, I think that there's just a lot of fear for guys to be able to sit down and kind of admit that I guess their spouse knows something that they don't know. I think that it's kind of a pride thing where guys want to.
Yeah, I think so too.
They want to envision themselves as, you know, the protector and the head of the household. And I think a lot of guys see themselves in that way. But ultimately, when it comes to the handmade business that the wife has grown or developed, this is her world. And nobody knows, you know, the way around this world than she does, because this is her territory. She's already an expert at it. So you have to kind of be willing to learn from her and admit that you're learning. You know, actually say, wow, I learned a lot, rather than being like, well, I knew that already, even if you didn't. Which I think that we've kind of had situations like that where you've learned something and you've just kind of been like, you're like, well, that's common sense.
That doesn't happen.
So, and then let's see. Oh, and then as a woman, another thing that we kind of don't do, I guess you could say,
here come the PC police, calm down.
Listen to his opinion about things. And he's going to have opinions, and a lot of the times his opinions aren't really going to reflect what you're going to do, because he probably doesn't know about color trends. And, you know, oh, you don't know that llamas are trending right now. Well, yeah, you do. Well, yeah, you do, because they're everywhere. But
I use Facebook.
But, you know, he might not know what's trending and things like that. And he still might try to give input on that. But feel free to talk to him about those things and let him know, you know, what's actually trending. And Give him opportunities to give his input when you need it. And it doesn't even necessarily mean that you're going to use it. But if I wouldn't have asked for his input about that dragon key, and
might not have sold as well.
Yeah, exactly. We might not have made several $100s on a single product that sold out in 20 seconds. You know what I mean?
I'm just letting her know that we're live streaming.
Oh, okay. So I just feel like a lot of women don't want to ask for that input in the first place. There's a lot of us who were like, oh, we know our business better than anybody, and we're not even going to ask. You just, here's how you help. You help with emails, and that's it. But it doesn't work like that. Guys like to give their feedback. As we said, they are problem solvers, and a lot of the times they want to help us with problems. So give them opportunities to contribute. And then the last thing, just celebrate the small victories, no matter how small they are, and celebrate them together. You know, go out to dinner, rent a movie. If you play video games, go play a game together. You know, it doesn't matter
play
what
Monopoly, who cares? Spend time together.
Yeah, and celebrate those small victories, even if it doesn't mean, you know, going out and spending a bunch of money. Do something together. Go romp around in the bedroom for a few hours, you know, whatever it is that you need to do to celebrate a great, you know, a great sale or a good selling month, or, you know, reaching a goal. Even if he didn't contribute to that, or, you know, I guess he wasn't working with the business, just the fact that he offered that support is something that's worth celebrating. And if he helped you to reach that goal, you know, there's always a reason to celebrate that. And there's always a reason to thank him through having that celebration. I mean, we do things like that all the time, where if we reach a goal or we have a great sale,
sushi,
we go get sushi. Like, that's what we do. We run and
we have it delivered.
Sushi.
Whatever. Thank you, DoorDash.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We
love
do
DoorDash.
We do DoorDash. So even if it's only new email subscribers, anything that you guys consider to be a personal goal. So this has been our little chat. We've still got a little bit of time though. Yeah. If you guys want to ask any questions to us about maybe questions about your spouse, questions about our relationship, do you have any questions that kind of pertain to today's topic?
And I'm still like looking through. I've been kind of reading the comments as it's going on. Sorry, Moonstruck. I don't normally give the relationship advice, but if somebody's telling you like I told you so's, that's like not okay already. So
right,
I don't want to give advice with that, but that's really negative. You don't need that kind of negativity.
Yeah, your spouse, you guys should be working towards goals as a team, and goals for a relationship should be a happy marriage and, you know, financial success. And
otherwise, why are you married? I mean, no offense to anybody, but like it's one thing to like not support the business, which if your spouse wants to do that, that's totally fine. They can reap the consequences of that. But to like down on you for doing it, making you feel insignificant, that's, oh, I'm sorry. That's just too negative for me.
Yeah, that's...
When you're packing orders, do you personally sign a thank you? And if you do so, do you both write your names? No, it's her business. I stamp them, but she hand signs all of the packages.
Yeah, if you guys have ever received an order from me, we do a stamp that says handmade with love by. He does the stamping, and then he immediately hands the packages to me, and I put my signature on them. But he doesn't actually do the gift wrapping. He just does the bubble wrapping because he's not good at like wrapping presents and tying the bow. I still do all of that, but he actually bubble wraps everything, sorts the keys per order, puts the chains on them, and, you know, does the smaller things like that. So
all right, Moonstruck again. What was the defining moment in the business where it clicked with you that it was very real? Oh, me and him are not together. We separated a month ago.
Okay.
Well, I'm glad that you got away. I'm sorry for the separation, but I'm glad you got away from the negativity.
Yeah, because ultimately growth isn't going to be possible for you if you're constantly in a mindset thinking that you can't do it. You need.
There's a million fish out there, and there's somebody out there that will support you.
Right, and appreciate you.
Let's see here. But the defining moment, I think I went over this earlier, but it was one of the Black Fridays we had a couple years ago where we made like $12,000 to $15,000 over the course of a month, and I think that was our second year. But yeah, that was the big deciding factor for me, was when I saw that it was actually serious, and it wasn't just an eBay business with crap piling up in my dining room. Let's see here. I've hit milestones that I was told a treat would come, and not a. I mean, if it's your business, why do you have to wait for a treat? Treat yourself.
Right.
If you're making the money, it's your money.
Yeah. You know, I used to just, when he was at work, if I made a little bit of money and I had it on my PayPal card, you know, I would just go out. I like to buy holiday decorations.
Mm-hmm.
That's my big thing, is I get super excited. That's how I treat myself, is, you know, by decorating the house for every holiday, even the little ones like Groundhog Day. I decorate for everything because it's for my daughter. You know, those things are fun for her. So I would go out while he was at work, and I mean, it was my money. I made it. Mm-hmm. And I would go out and buy that stuff for myself. Right. Or
yeah, I mean, as long as it's not a detriment to like your household, like it's not going to screw over paying bills or something like that, or if there's a holiday coming up and you got to buy presents, like if there's an opportunity to treat yourself, just do it smartly, intelligently. Don't do something stupid like go spend all of your money, but
right.
But definitely treat yourself, especially if it's your business. It doesn't really matter what they think, honestly. And if they get that mad, then let them get mad. How does he feel when you quality control what you give him to do? She honestly doesn't really. She did initially, but shut up, ads. Okay.
How does he feel when you quality control what you give him to do?
She doesn't.
Yeah. You know,
I mean, I take criticism pretty well, so
yeah, he listens to me. It's just, sometimes he'll give me like some remark where he's like, well, I think this or I think that, shit. But we can usually talk things out together and come to an understanding. When it comes to my business, he kind of knows that this is my world, so I'm thankful that we have that understanding with each other. So Alicia
B. So I try to tell him what I've been working on because he thinks I'm not doing anything all day, but then he tells me he doesn't need a report every day. What is he really looking for? That sounds like insecurity to me. Honestly, I'm not, like I said, I'm not here to give relationship advice. This is kind of just tips for running the business.
He's intimidated.
Yeah, it sounds to me like he's intimidated or possibly thinking that there's something else going on. Obviously, I mean, I can't say obviously there isn't, but if there isn't anything going on, that he doesn't have anything to feel, let him be paranoid. And if it comes to the point where it starts affecting the relationship, sit down and talk to him and ask him what the big deal is. I mean, be nice about it, but ask him, what's bothering him so much.
Yeah.
Honesty is the biggest thing for a relationship. If you can't be honest with each other, then why are you together?
And another thing is you guys come to us with these questions, and that's great, and we're happy to answer them, but also consider taking these questions directly to your partner, asking if you can sit down and talk, and coming to them, just saying, I want to come to an understanding with you. What is your primary goal, or what would make you happy at this point, so I can make sure I'm doing everything in my power to make that possible.
Yeah. I mean, the longer you let that kind of thing go, the more and more it's going to build up to a point where they're not going to feel secure being with you anymore.
Right.
They're not going to feel safe with the relationship. And I mean, that kind of, it might not necessarily be that now, but that kind of insecurity is going to lead them to think that you're cheating on them.
And that's a severe case.
And that's a severe case. But I mean, it's, as a guy, that's the first thing that if I was in that situation and I was being that negative about it, that's, I think, what I would think, honestly.
And, just wanting to know what you're doing, especially if you are a stay-at-home wife or partner. I think that, on the flip side, if it isn't like an accusing type thing, like, oh, what have you been doing all day? If it's more like, well, what did you do all day? And he thinks that you just sat on your butt, that type of thing, which is more how I interpreted it.
Right.
You could just maybe make something on the refrigerator with your daily goals, the things that you need to do all day. And then the next time he says, what did you do all day? Just point at the fridge, be like, well, there's my chart. Anytime you want to see.
Just be positive and be honest about it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the big thing. Just be honest.
And kind.
And if it's bugging you that they're digging that much into it, then tell them that it's bugging you. If that's,
be nice about it.
Right. Be nice about it. But if it's such a big deal that you have to report in because you feel like you're walking on eggshells, then you've already got a problem and you need to talk.
You should never feel like you're walking on eggshells.
Never. If you're in a relationship where you feel like that, you really need to open up and be honest, like now.
Right.
I feel guilty buying for me. It just depends. Honestly, if you're in a point where you don't have the money to be buying for yourself, then don't. But if you have $10 to buy yourself a coffee mug cozy, then do it. I mean, honestly, anything.
As a woman, you know, I can understand that because we're providers. We want to provide for our family and, you know, take care of the kids. And it's always our responsibility to do all this and that. And it's hard to take that time for ourselves, but you have to be able to do that. And even if you don't have the money to reward yourself in that way, where you go and buy yourself something, take a bath, you know, ask your partner to watch the kids for a few hours, or just tell your partner that you're taking a bath and reading a book. Pour yourself a glass of wine if you drink wine. You know, do something that you're going to enjoy, and do it for you. Don't do it for anybody else, because you still need to reward yourself with something, even if it's just as silly as taking a bath, you know, having a few minutes of peace and quiet.
Sure. Sarah, doing all this with kids and no babysitters, it's been a big strain on our marriage. I've been begging for 1 day babysitter a week, but we just can't. Husband doesn't help with kids really either. And, you know, honestly, it's one of those things where if he's not helping with kids and you've got business to do and the kid breaks his favorite mug, that's his fault.
There needs to be respect for the workplace, and even if that workplace
that's your
is
work,
home.
that's your workplace. And if he's home not doing anything else but cleaning the blades on the lawnmower, then he needs to be helping out. And it doesn't necessarily mean that like you guys that have kids, you know, it's not like 100% of your focus goes towards the kid. Like, I can still sit and play a match of Call of Duty most of the time when my kid was like 3 and didn't have to intervene with my child doing anything because our house was set up for a 3-year-old. Right. So it's one of those things where he needs to either contribute and help watch the kids, or you guys need to set up the house in a way where the kids aren't going to destroy anything if you're not watching them every second of the day.
And, you know, to go along with that, I think that's something that you need to establish is respect for your space and your time. And a biggest part of that is having designated hours where you say, okay, honey, from this time to this time on this day, I'm going to be working on my business, and I'm going to need you to, you know, take control of the household for these hours. Right. And we do that. You know, I let him know ahead of time. I say, okay, tomorrow I have a video that I need to record, and I need the house to be quiet. So while you're playing video games downstairs, I'm going to send Taylor downstairs with her video games so you guys can play together, and the upstairs will be nice and quiet. So right. Just,
I mean, it's one of the, I don't know, that's touchy. It's one of those things where you're not a stay-at-home wife or a stay-at-home husband if you're running one of these businesses. No. Like, and I understand that that's probably what the spouse, in most cases, the husband is going to assume that this is a hobby. Like I said, his thing is going to be a hobby. And realistically, if you're making money, it's not a freaking hobby. You're not on eBay throwing your old junk on there for money. Like, you're making something probably by hand. You're not a stay-at-home mom, and you need to get them to a point where they respect the fact that you're not a stay-at-home mom. And I just saw you put on here that he kind of watches the kids but lets them have fits.
Let him have fits.
Let him have fits.
He can deal with the fits.
Yeah, he can deal with the fits. And if you need to tune it out, maybe get like a baby gate for their bedroom and let them play in the bedroom if they're being cranky.
You know, I have a baby gate in my office, and it doesn't.
So the kid can't come in.
Well, and you know, it doesn't stop her, because she could jump the baby gate. Like, she's 5, she can get over a baby gate, but it's there to provide a barrier that just kind of halts her just enough for me to say, okay, the baby gate is up, mommy's working, what do you need? And if she says, you know, I want a snack, I say, okay, mommy's working, so go ask daddy. When mommy's gate is up, that means that you don't bother mommy. And she goes and she asks him.
And I mean, there are days where I don't have anything to do. Like, if she's just got to customize keys, or she needs to work on a launch, like I said, I can't make keys. I got sausage fingers. If there's nothing for me to do, I don't do anything in here. Sometimes I'll sit in here with her when the kid's at school, so she's not up here bored by herself. But usually she's pretty content just jamming some music and making her keys. But I mean, there are times when I'm downstairs playing video games and the kid is driving her absolutely nuts, and she'll say, hey, can you do something about the kid? And I'm on it. Like, I jump up after whatever I'm doing and I go get the kid, or I have the kid come downstairs with me most of the time.
This one.
All right. Do you think it's best to have a partnership business or to employ your husband? That's a personal preference question.
I mean, do you mean like the actual, when you're actually putting in your business plan, like you're actually registering for a business? because when you're registering for a business, if you guys are together, that is a partnership. You don't ever.
Yeah, you're both already kind of part of the business.
You
either
don't.
Way.
You know, you guys are seen as a single unit when you're registering for a business, and when you actually fill out your business documents, you'll put your name and your spouse. You don't have to put him as an employee. You guys are considered one unit when you're married, so you wouldn't do it. And if you're talking more along the lines of how you like perceive him, I would never tell somebody that my husband is my employee. I joke about it sometimes. I'll be like, I'm his boss.
We have pretty equal input. I mean,
right.
and that's how it should be if you're running the business.
And saying that he's an employee and I'm the boss would somehow, that would make me feel like I'm more
emasculating.
Right. That would make me feel like I'm more important than he is. And that's absolutely not the case, because we contribute equally. Even if it's not to the business, you know, he contributes to the house on some days.
I tell people I'm a work-at-home mom.
Yes, exactly.
Just say you're a business owner. You don't even have to go that far. So, yeah. I mean, be honest about yourself. You own a bit. Even if you're only making like $100 a month, you're still a business owner.
Yeah, we like to undermine ourselves when it comes to.
Don't go crazy and call yourself a CEO, but you're a business owner.
Right. Don't undermine yourself. I see a lot of people that say, well, I make jewelry that I sell on Etsy. You are a jewelry designer, girl. Like, say those words. Get used to saying them, because that's what you are. All right. Where we got?
Our business is actually a co-ownership for tax purposes and for legal reasons. In case someone gets hurt, then the other has authority to continue. When
you guys are married, for at least in Ohio, you are considered a unit. And when you register for your business, your husband
You're both responsible.
Right. Your husband is not considered an employee, and you don't need to register as an LLC for the sake of hiring your husband. You can still be a sole proprietor with your husband.
They're still saying co-ownership. I think there's something else that they're talking about.
Okay, there, just making sure.
Yeah.
All right. He watches them, but basically, oh yeah, you read that already.
Yeah.
My husband is starting a drop shipping t-shirt site. It's helped with his attention to colors. That's good. And usually when your partner kind of takes on their own little business, sometimes it helps them. Sometimes it helps them to kind of understand exactly, you know, what they need to be doing. Just don't expect them to listen to you too much in the beginning, because a lot of times guys want to figure stuff out on their own. If they decide that they're going to start their own business, they want to learn it by themselves. Yeah, there's a lot of things that he just wants to, even though
I would run a computer business, but you want to talk about saturated markets? No, thank you.
Yeah, co-ownership is considered a sole proprietor. Okay, yeah. So because you're married, you're considered a single unit, you know, two people.
So, I mean, you can file taxes separately, but when it comes to owning a business, like the business has to go somewhere. So if you're not an LLC, like when you die, the business has to go to somebody.
Right. All right, guys. Are there any last minute questions? Next video that will be coming out is going to be our Etsy weird stuff that we found on Etsy videos, and I have my gift arrived. He has his gift, and we're going to be doing a gift exchange. If you have not watched the last few episodes of that, they're on my channel. Basically, we find the weirdest thing that we could possibly buy on Etsy, and we give it to each other without the other person knowing. Usually we take turns. I give him a gift, and then the next episode he gives me one. But on our next episode, we're just going to be doing an exchange of gifts. My gift is very fun, and your gift,
mine is very tidy but very, very unique.
I have no idea what he got me. I'm so scared. Like the last thing I got him,
it's unique, but it's tiny. Like she's gonna have to hold it up to the camera for you to even tell what it is. It's super small, but
I'm terrified.
She's gonna love it.
I'm excited though. We're gonna do that, and then if you guys watch the Shave and Play Barbie episode, we're going to be giving that to our daughter as a joke.
That's gonna be funny.
And we're going to also include that in the episode. So that's gonna be exciting. I'm super excited to see how she reacts, because she's probably gonna throw a fit.
Yeah, she's probably not gonna be very happy by the time she gets to that.
Yeah, she's not gonna laugh. She's going to probably freak out, because she doesn't take jokes very well. She goes crazy, but we're going to obviously give her a good gift right after that. We just want to see how she reacts to this hairy Barbie. So be sure to watch those if you haven't already.
James, if a person who wants to join your VIP group says it's not working for them, but they want the discount, do you give it to them? No, you can manually, if they want to be in your VIP group, you can manually add them. And if your emails aren't getting through to them, that's their fault.
Yeah.
They tell them to check their spam box and make sure that you're not blocked. But no, we don't generally, unless it's like an extreme case, we don't send the coupon to anybody that's not on the VIP list.
I would work on trying to find a solution for that and make sure that they're on the VIP list. As long as they're, or you can just say, I'll manually subscribe you, and then put their name in and email manually, and then just tell them the discount. But make sure that they're on that list. They're not just getting the discount for nothing, you know. You can manually subscribe them yourself and not have to worry about that. Let's see.
Reopened my Etsy shop after an accident. My husband wanted to know why, because I didn't have anything to see. I think I had 60 items. Well, screw him then.
Your husband didn't know that you had 60 items in your shop? Well, I mean, you know, a lot of the times they probably don't. How many items do I have in my shop right now? Yeah, see, a lot. Like a lot of the time. I mean, unless you're telling him, he's not gonna know.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of their fault that. Like, back on James, it's kind of their fault that they're not getting the emails if they're not receiving it. It should be going to their spam, and if they're not receiving it in their spam, then their email is probably set up to delete spam messages automatically, which is not your fault.
Yeah, definitely not. All right, guys. Well, it looks like we've answered everybody's questions. Like we said, we apologize if this didn't necessarily apply to everyone's type of relationship. I didn't want to do a training video this close to the holidays because I don't know about you. It's like really hard for me to learn when I'm thinking about the holidays. Like I can't focus on learning when I've got all this stress. I've got like 100 boxes to package or
all I can think about is playing on my VR headset on Christmas, so I'm not stressed at all.
I got him a VR headset. He's so excited, but
to blow zombie brains out.
I told him that he can't have it till Christmas, even though he knows what he's getting. And then he's like, well, I need to open it early.
I just need the codes to download all the programs for it, so I'm not spending all of Christmas Day waiting for stuff to download.
I already wrapped it.
Too bad. She's giving it to me a day early. Don't let her lie to you.
Christmas Eve. I told him that he can have it on Christmas Eve, but he's not allowed to play it until Christmas. Does that sound fair? Like, I think that that's fair, right?
I'll just wait till she leaves.
You're not. I'm not leaving on. No, we're not going to be home on Christmas Eve. We got to go to your grandma's house. So you can get some socks from your grandma. How much you want to bet?
I like socks. I don't ever buy myself socks. So I don't care.
I can almost bet you. I can put a bet on it right now. She's going to get him socks. She gets him socks every year. There's going to be socks. Let's put bets on it.
Right. I bought her a $150 present. She'll like it.
Oh, wait, grandma?
Yeah,
or me? I was going to say, my present was more than that.
No, I've spent like $800 on her so far.
I bought him like a bunch of little goofy things, like little funny things, because I know that he likes that. I got him the VR headset, which was expensive, and then I got him like just funny things. That way he'd have more to open, even though he's got like one major gift. All the
redheads are my favorite.
Redheads are my favorite.
What is that a reference to?
Red. My mom's a redhead. Am I a redhead?
I mean, redheads are cool, but it's just hair. Hubby and I married almost 30 years. Finally figured this stuff out. I still liked hearing him what you had to say. Yeah,
a lot of the times, and we hear this a lot because we've been together since we were like 19 years old, and we hear all the time that, oh, you guys are so wise for your years.
Oh, they're awesome. They're socks.
Oh, okay,
redheads,
socks.
Redhead socks.
Redhead socks. We were like, redheads?
Like, yeah, they're cool and unique, but
redheads?
It's just hair.
Redheads. But we've been married for as long as we've been together, getting together while I was still in high school. A lot of people are just kind of in awe in the fact that we're still together.
We made it through our mid-20s and we're still together.
Right. We've been able to maintain this. And I feel like just in the last few years, things have been, really good. This year, especially because we've gotten financial struggles and we're back in Ohio. We're back home. We haven't had to worry about being so far from family, and things have all just kind of fallen into place. So we'll be the first to tell you that there are years that are just bad. They're freaking bad, awful, terrible years. But
yeah,
the farther you go and the longer you go and the more understanding that you put in each other and the more you work on communication with your partner, the easier things become. Because, ultimately, as cheesy as it sounds, he's literally my best friend in the whole wide world. I don't have friends at all. And maybe that's because I'm antisocial, but I don't go anywhere with anyone other than my mom. I don't hang out with people. I don't have girls. I don't have girlfriends. I don't really want to, because ultimately I want to focus on my business. And at the end of the day, there is no one who I would rather sit on the couch with and watch goofy videos with than this guy right here. So Wow, my hubby and I have been together since 13 and married at 22, now 31 and still going strong. That's crazy. That is awesome.
Yeah, we will have been together 8 years in February. Not married, just been together.
It was like watching a real life version of the book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. I have that book. I have that book. We've been friends since we were 11.
I'll be your friend. You sound like me. She doesn't need friends.
She didn't
have the time for them.
That's the thing that I always say about friends, because I feel bad when I get a friend because they try to message me on Facebook and chat.
Let's do something. Don't have the time.
I don't have the time to chat on Facebook. I don't have the time to go out and do anything. I literally don't have the time to have friends.
I go out for her.
The worst kind of friends are the ones who are like plants that you constantly have to water to keep them alive. Otherwise, they're messaging you all the time saying, like, oh, do you like me anymore? I'm like, no, I have a husband and a child and a business. You know, I have other things to do. I'm sorry. It's not that I don't like you anymore. So
Abby is my best friend, married 10 years. We have nothing in common. Sometimes that's a good thing.
I was going to say that.
Anymore, we really don't. Like, she prefers sitting and reading books. I like killing things in video games. Yeah. Like, we're pretty much polar opposites. We still like the same music.
Yeah, we still listen.
We have the same gross humor that we can't use on the internet.
Well, I mean, that's what makes us that's what makes the workday go by faster, is we have that really, what's the word I'm looking for? Raunchy sense of humor that just goes together so well during the workday when we're able to just joke like that, you know, between the two of us, when we're the only ones home and it's the only thing that we hear. So, and that always helps. If you're working beside your spouse, like tell him that he has a nice butt, you know, he might laugh at you, but it might make it might make his day. It might make him smile.
I got that booty.
You got that booty. So
not really. I have no butt. Don't let her lie to you.
No, he doesn't.
She does.
Well,
but
I'm a chick. My husband is my best friend as well. We complement each other very well. Yes, Jacqueline has an amazing support system with her business, which shows through her success, because she's made a killing.
Yeah, everybody's saying they like discussing business. You know, honestly, I like the money and I like working in the business and I like working with people like you guys. But honestly, I really don't like working. I'm like the laziest person ever. So like when she's like, okay, I don't have anything else for you to do, I'm like, great, bye.
Yeah, he's gone.
Goodbye.
He is out the door before I am even finished with a sentence.
The worst part is I'll make it like 15 feet down the hallway and 10 feet down the stairs, and she'll be like, wait a minute, I forgot. I don't care.
Bye.
Too late.
See ya. Oh, but he has helped so much the last few months since he's been out of his job. And I don't think that I would be as sane as I am without this. In fact, I remember the first time that we decided to do one of these Q&As, we didn't think it was going to be an every Friday thing, but what are you doing?
Just making a dumb face.
We didn't think that this was going to be an every Friday thing, but you guys liked him, and that's why he's still here. Like, you guys requested more. You guys requested more Mark. Bring more Mark. So that's why he's here. In fact, fun fact, I don't call him Mark, by the way. Only business people and
I'm Daddy.
No. Did you really just do that? His name is Anthony. For anybody who wants to be on the friendly level with him, you can't tag him as Anthony on Facebook, but I call him Anthony because his name is Mark Anthony, and nobody calls him Mark because that's his dad's name. So it's Anthony.
See, they liked it.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny.
I see that. You guys don't ebb him on. He's just going to keep doing it.
That's right.
I think it makes us real.
Makes us real.
It makes us so real.
I love you guys, but you can't handle the real me.
Some of them could. Kay could totally handle the real you. She cracked me up we did a private session together. She cracked me up talking. So
you think sailors curse a lot?
Oh,
you don't know me.
Yeah.
They're called, as SpongeBob said, or it was Patrick.
Sentence enhancers.
Sentence enhancers is what they're called. They're not curse words. They're sentence enhancers.
Okay, if it's like the salt and the pepper that you sprinkle on the dish, he unscrews the lid and dumps the whole thing on the dish. Like, that is him. No, I'm in a reserve unit.
There are a couple things that let you express feelings. There are the intonation of your voice, if you raise your voice or you talk louder, and then there's the words you use. Normal words suck. Curse words express emotion and fit. The F word You can fit in any sentence and it fits. There's a YouTube video about it. Look it up.
I saw this thing that showed how much stress cursing relieves. And people, their blood pressure, when they get to actually curse, their blood pressure levels are so much better than the people who like are at work and they're like trying to contain themselves from cursing.
Nah, I got in trouble at work all the time because I don't hold back.
Oh, come on. You guys were in the military.
No, they didn't like
Feels
it.
like drill weekend. He was in drill for what? Like
I was a drill team captain in ROTC for like a year.
You won a ton of awards.
I had knockout competitions, all that kind of stuff was fun, but that's not what drill weekend is for reserve units. Drill weekend is their weekend to come in. Let's see here. Let me just say on the hubs. He's Brian Keith, but he goes by Keith since Brian is his dad's name.
Yeah, that's about that.
My dad's name is, you know, what's funny about my name? My name is Mark with a C and Anthony without an H. My dad's name is Mark with a K and Anthony with an H.
Yeah, so don't put the H in his name. It's not Aunt Funny, it's Aunt Tony. I called him Tony once. That didn't go over well.
Don't call me Tony.
Don't call him Tony.
I will leave this stream.
he'll be the doer.
No, just wait. It's gonna be like 10 seconds.
Tony. Oh, you guys are so cute together. My hubby and I married at 22, and we've been together for 26 years. He's my bestie. I don't want to go on girls' weekends. If I go to an amazing place, I want to be with him. That's how I feel. I don't want to go on like, oh, let's go to Vegas. I see all my female friends are like, I went to Vegas with my bestie, and I'm like, I wouldn't want to go to Vegas with my besties. I don't even have any besties. I mean,
an EMT and he's an Army vet. Oh my God, because I'm sure.
Yeah. Military members.
Air Force was the wrong branch for me, being the kind of person that I am. I curse too much, and they are way too sensitive about it.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
And what's worse is once they're in front of the group, and this is got to be an Air Force thing. You can't curse at all. But if you're like a commander or a chief and you're in front of the group, it is just free game to say whatever the hell you want to say. They can say whatever they want.
Oh, yeah. Who's going to get them in trouble?
Like, I don't give a like, how are you going to say that in front of 100 people and then tell me to not curse, like, in the hallway when nobody's around?
Right.
Screw that.
This is why you're not in the military anymore.
Ooh, I love politics. Anyway.
All right, guys. Met my husband at 16, married 40 years. That's always exciting. We were 16. I was with a guy who was extremely abusive, and I was with him throughout my entire, like, I guess, high school life, all through high school. I didn't focus on high school at all. Rather than thinking about my future, I spent time thinking about our future together and getting married, and we're gonna have kids and blah, blah, blah. And then I just like neglected everything, lost all my friends, and thankfully I found this guy who got me out of that terrible relationship because
little emo boys don't like when a real man rolls around.
Oh man, he was a mess.
A whiny baby. I hope you're watching.
He was a hot mess. But yeah, we've both been through our fair share of bad relationships, and it was very nice to just find somebody who was.
You gotta earn the cussing. Nah, that ain't how that works. Anyway.
All right, guys. Well, it looks like we've answered everybody's questions. If you're tuning in, be sure, or if you're tuning in and you aren't already a Handmade Alpha and you're just kind of chilling with us for the first time, down below we have links to both the Handmade Alpha VIP club. That's basically my email list where I get to send you my free goodies. I give you reminders when we do Q&As. Right when you sign up, you get my free ebook on how to gain a fanatical following of fans on Facebook. That will email to you automatically. But if for any reason you haven't received that, just reply to any of my emails and I'll make sure that you get it. And also linked down below is the Handmade Alpha Facebook community. I'm only going to say this one more time, guys, which none of you are guilty of it. I'm looking at everybody who's here. None of you are guilty of it. But for anybody who's tuning in for the very first time, is just now meeting us, we have had 10 people today who I have had to remove posts from, and a couple of them that I've had to delete and block because there's 2 rules to the group. Don't advertise because it's an educational group, not for advertising, and be nice. And I've had to delete like 10 people today who have jumped in, brand new members, and who are advertising products. And that is not what the group is for. So when you're trying to sell your products to a group that is community-based, you're the one who's kind of, throwing yourself out there and making yourself look like the weirdo who didn't read the 2 rules that are pinned to the top of the group. There's only 2. Just follow the 2 rules. That's it. Just be nice and don't advertise. That's all we ask. And, That's it. So, all right, guys, thank you again so much for watching. And I guess we will see you later this week for our weird stuff on Etsy series. So we will see you in that video. Talk soon, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.